Hello people, I am Jaby KOAY, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hello.
We're talking about the film Zero, starring Shah Rukh Khan, Anushka Sharma, Katrina Kaif, and a little bit of Salman Khan. So this review, in terms of the edit, is gonna be a little bit loose in the interest of getting it out sooner than later. How did we feel about this? First, before we get into that, a number of people were saying, don't watch it, it's disappointing. Please don't watch it. You're just gonna be sad at the end that it's not better than it was. Why can't Shah Rukh Khan do, a good film? He hasn't done a good one in a while. I've heard all the comments. I know how you guys are feeling, but IMDb, Silver Lining, is giving it a 7.2 out of 10. Oh. I don't know what Rotten Tomatoes is giving it, so I'm gonna look it up right now and see what they have to say. It's given a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, a 91% from the audience. That's actually a very strong audience score, considering that the woman behind me was like, that's the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
She was very upset. How did I feel about this movie? How did you feel about this movie? I came away giving it a solid 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I almost gave it a 1 out of 5 on the basis of bad science and a lot of stupid. But the thing is, this movie renewed my love for Anushka Sharma. I think that she's just a wonderful actress. And you said that you were kind of on the fence initially.
Initially, I was a bit like, it feels like maybe her mannerisms for playing a disabled person seemed a bit put on for me.
Okay.
But as the movie went on, I was like, no, actually, I'm buying it. I'm buying it.
So Shah Rukh Khan's acting, it was hit and miss. Like sometimes it was over the top, sometimes it was right where it needed to be. Sometimes he had like those good subtle moments that were perfect. The reason why I'm not giving this a 1 out of 5, like I said, Anushka Sharma, but the other reason why is the visual effects. However they managed to pull that off with Shah Rukh Khan's height, because we all know that he's not a midget, or a dwarf, or a short person.
A little person, I think, is the politically correct term. I don't know.
A child-sized human being.
A pint-sized human being.
There was some pretty convincing stuff going on. There were occasional moments where I was like, I can see like there's some kind of weird thing going on there. But for the most part, I was like, they did a pretty good job. Up until the intermission point, I was like, I don't know what everybody's problem is. Like, this movie's actually really cool. The first half of the film had to have been written by somebody else than the latter half of the film, because it was a different movie entirely. Like, I understand in Indian cinema, like, the second half is usually where the film takes a turn and it's supposed to be more interesting. I get that, and I respect that, but this is where it goes off in a completely different direction to things that were not set up properly.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the space stuff, like, really turned me off, in large part because of the terrible science. Like, I know it's a movie, but, like, a little bit of research goes a long way. The scene that I just realized that I'm about to go into some spoilers here. But you know what? Okay, so spoilers. I've already said my score. This is the spoiler warning. The scene where Shah Rukh Khan comes into that top loft of the building, whatever it is, and she rolls up in her wheelchair and it locks onto the wheels. I was like, what's going on here? And then anti-gravity happens. I'm like, hold on. You need to explain the magic here. You can't just say NASA or whatever this other version of NASA is and then just expect me to buy into this anti-gravity chamber. Like, if you've got that kind of technology, that introduces a whole set of questions in the movie. It was almost like a genie showed up 3/4 of the way into the film and then disappears. Like, now the movie's about, like, you have to explain that. Why are we still using rocket fuel to get Shah Rukh Khan to Mars if she's got an anti-gravity room? If we've got that kind of technology, surely we've already established a space station with an elevator that goes up to the space station, and then you shoot rockets from there using some other kind of more efficient technology to move people to and from. We've already gotten to Mars if we've got an anti-gravity chamber. What the hell, movie? It just doesn't add up. We are nowhere near having an anti-gravity chamber, and if we were there, we would already be colonizing Mars. I know that's like overthinking the science in it, but then like there is this whole Martian, like Matt Damon movie that happens in the last 2 minutes of the film where he goes to Mars and then he's gone for 15 years and comes back. I'm like, what? Where is his food supply?
Yeah.
Where was he in for 15 years? Like, that whole last 30 minutes of the movie really turned me off to the point I looked at a chart and I'm like, how much longer is this movie? This is ridiculous. Everything leading up to his return to Anushka Sharma, I was actually buying into. Like, I didn't understand what the whole deal was with him having to have Katrina Kaif like slap him and kick him out.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really get that.
I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. Like, that was a bit like weird for me. Like, if you want to go, just go. She doesn't need to, force you to go, but maybe that's just, a personal thing. It's weird.
On some level, I get it. It's almost like I need my girlfriend to dump me in order for me to be inspired to go back to the gym. But like, he's aware of it, like very intellectually aware of it. The movie does say he's smart. That was another thing, like, the movie doesn't establish this whole, like, the contest thing was consistent. I appreciated that the contest thing was consistent. Like, they established a contest at the beginning, and here's another contest, and he's just in this contest of life. Everything in life is a contest.
Right.
It's got some symbolism in there. Cool. A little bit of message. But the idea that this is the first mission to Mars, and they're just going to send some random Joe to Mars, I don't buy it. I just... The movie actually was doing some interesting things up until then. Like, the fact that he goes back to Anushka Sharma and she rejects him, that, like, you can see she's rejecting him. That was cool.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. Then she pulls out a gun and the movie goes off the rails and jumps the shark. I'm like, hold on. Why does she have a gun? Why is she trying to kill him? And why is Shah Rukh Khan snatching a baby so violently? That, like, all of this is making me really resent, like, I totally don't like his character at this point.
Oh.
Okay, what? You can go ahead, talk about his character.
That was my main issue with the movie, was I was just like, why should I care about you, Bhavya Singh? Like, you're a deplorable person.
Yeah.
I don't like you. You're basically a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
And like, you just think you can just throw money at people and that's gonna make everything better. And I'm like, for a protagonist, I just couldn't get on board with him. And even by the end, it took so long and I was still like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, that is part of the point of the story, in my opinion, because like he needed to change, right?
I get it. Yeah, he needed to go on a journey. He needed to change. He needed to find himself, and I guess he did. But it took so long that by that point I was like, I've really stopped caring about you.
Like, I found it so fascinating that this guy who is, for all intents and purposes, like disabled, because in the States, if you're 4'10", you're a legal midget and you can get a disabled placard, right? So I think I know that you are a legal midget if you are 4'10", because I had a girlfriend for a long time that was 4'11", and I used to call her a legal midget, which was totally messed up, but she wasn't actually a legal midget. Anyway, yeah, 4'10" is the cutoff point, and so, yeah. Okay, my point was that it's interesting that he could be that stature and still have the audacity to have the attitude that he does, which is very representative of a guy who is indecisive about what he wants. And you had mentioned something kind of messed up that he did that informed his deplorable character, which is like he slept with her.
Yeah, that really bugged me. So he just wanted to be with Anushka Sharma's character because like she rejected him at first, and then he got her and he said to her, I'll call you, and then he doesn't. He changes his number. I'm like, who are you? Right. You're such an awful person.
He's a smooth criminal. That's what he is.
Ugh.
That's a Michael Jackson reference for those of you who are too young to know that. But I really, really liked that song in the hallway of the hotel.
Yeah.
Because there was something cool about what the movie was doing, because it explained how he was able to pull this off. A lot of times you see these musical breaks and it's just magical, right? And it's just this stuff that happens. Like, I remember watching Sultan, and Salman Khan is like professing his love for some chick, and there's like this circus that just kind of shows up in the movie to basically make the music video thing work. Right. And oftentimes in like the South Indian music video breaks, it is literally like a music video with these other rooms and lights and stuff like that. And so here, it was like, I used my dad's money to hire the band, to hire the dancers, to hire the effects and stuff like that. Yeah. So they explain how they're able to pull this off, and then it happens, and Anushka Sharma's face is just beautiful, and she's got that smile, and I'm like, man, her face must have been hurting by the end of this, because she was just smiling so much. But anyway, it's like so magical. Like, I was buying into the magic of it, and I liked the music. And at the end of it, they came up to Shah Rukh Khan like a scene out of Ghostbusters, and they were like, "Hey, you did a whole bunch of damage," and then like the chandelier falls down. Like, that's literally straight out of Ghostbusters. And I adored that scene because it explains something that is often not explained in movies like this, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's kind of meta. It's kind of making fun of itself. At one point, it goes, "I want to sing again. I want to sing again. I want to break into a musical number again." And the movie cuts away to something else. I actually dug all that stuff. And this film had so much potential for messages, even though it was kind of predictable because you knew from the trailer where he was going to go and how he's going to go back to her. Like, you knew that was coming, right? But it completely fell flat with the whole space thing. Like, they should have found a different way to close out the film. Like, I get her reluctance. I understand that. And it could have been like a volunteer thing. Like, okay, we're taking in volunteers to do this thing. But I promise you that if this was real life, it wouldn't be that simple. It wouldn't be this little, like, okay, we're gonna decide on someone after 2 weeks. It's like, no, this is like...
No, he was there for a long time.
No,
he was training for a long time.
I mean, deciding who can be part of the contest. Not contest is the wrong word, but part of the testing phase. Like, there's a whole like thing where you got to write a profile out and you have to like submit why you should be part of the mission and what you're hoping to gain out of it, and they'll do like psychological tests and stuff like that. Like it's so much more involved than just the training, right? It wouldn't be that quick is what I'm trying to say. It was super fast. And by the way, why doesn't he care about his friends? When he went and hung out with Katrina Kaif, he never called his best friend, who was awesome. With the flashlight, he couldn't see anything. Like, I liked that character. I thought he was very consistent. Katrina Kaif is beautiful as always.
Yes, and I have to say, I really liked her portrayal of the character. Like, yes, it was two-dimensional. She didn't really have a lot of range, but like, no, you don't agree?
I thought she had some depth.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of depth, but it wasn't like. It wasn't huge.
She was a kiddie pool, you know?
Yeah, like
kiddie pool
just
depth.
a little.
Yeah.
But I thought that I completely bought her as this kind of jaded movie star who was drunk all the time and kind of mean. I liked it.
I'm going to backpedal on what I just said. I think she had more depth than you're giving her credit for, because when we are introduced to her, like, she's this movie star, right? And it's this thing where on the outside, everything looks wonderful and magical and glamorous.
Yeah.
Then you meet her and she's in the bathtub and she's heartbroken and she's calling her ex, and you see that like everybody's got problems. Everyone's got these issues, right?
No, I mean, but that's what I like about it. I like that she played that character really, really well. And I guess at the end she does have an arc, because she, basically says to her ex, now her boyfriend, she's all like, yeah, you gotta go.
Right.
Like, leave.
Yeah.
So she did have an arc, but I just wasn't.
But just like the emotional roller coaster she was kind of going through whenever she saw her ex, when she saw her ex's new girlfriend, like all that stuff. I thought she did a good job with that, and it felt like a real person for the most part. It felt more real than Shah Rukh Khan's character.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought she did great, and I gotta say it again, I loved Anushka Sharma in this movie. It's like, I would date her. Like, I would date that chick. Like, she was awesome. She was super, like, it was almost confusing to me how Shah Rukh Khan wouldn't stay with her because she was so smart. That's another thing. She's so smart and her character is so dumb. Like, when Shah Rukh Khan does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 0 and knocks the star out of the sky, it's a magical element, but her character should have questioned it. She is someone who put the rover on Mars. She would have questioned it, like, do that again. Let's test that again. Let's test this out and see that you can keep doing it. And then she'll buy into it, sure. But like, for her to freak out about the moon, no, she wouldn't freak out about the moon. She would test this shit out and then maybe freak out about the moon.
Yeah.
But the fact that she didn't like try to falsify this at all is weird to me. Like, that's the whole point, is to try, huh?
Yeah, it's to test the hypothesis.
To test the hypothesis, and she didn't. And what the hell? She had an anti-gravity chamber. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and the people are like training in the anti-gravity chamber, and then they're training in the pool. I'm like, why are you training in the pool if you've got an anti-gravity chamber? The whole point of the pool is to simulate space and to simulate anti-gravity.
Huh.
It doesn't make any sense to simulate stuff in the pool anymore. That's just dumb. That is so infuriating. And then the ending scene, it's like, I kind of forgave it because it's a movie, but it still doesn't make any sense. He's chatting with Anushka Sharma over the TV screen, which I thought was sweet. I thought that was cooler than her actually coming to him, stopping him from getting off the thing, actually kissing him. Like, she says, I would kiss you if I liked that, the dialogue over the screen. But at the end of it, she goes, would you have gotten off if I asked you to stay? And then he shakes his head or something. I don't know what that meant. I didn't know if it was yes or no. But then he puts his helmet on. I'm like, you, movie. No, that doesn't make sense. He wouldn't put his helmet on there. Like, this stuff is so, like... there's so many measures taken to get this right. The math involved is so incredibly amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of you who are watching this review now who know this better than I do. Like, the way I've heard it phrased, it's like trying to shoot a basketball from Los Angeles to New York and hitting nothing but net. Like, it's that kind of precision with the math.
Right.
So there's no losing Shah Rukh Khan for 15 years in space. Like, they're gonna know exactly how to get him to and from. He's not getting lost. Like, you're seeing all this stuff with Elon Musk. Like, there's no way he's getting lost. And there's no way he's just throwing on his helmet like, okay, it's time to put on my hat because we're gonna go now, like in the last 60 seconds before the flight. Not happening. It's just not. So all the science stuff just pissed me off. And it's because I'm tired of seeing bad science in movies. It's hard for me to forgive that. And I'm hoping that a lot of you guys who are like engineers and doctors and scientists yourself are in agreement with me about that. And it's like, I get it's a movie and I get you're supposed to suspend your, that's my dinner. So, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I get you're supposed to suspend your disbelief, but no to bad science. Say no to bad science. 2 out of 5. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out ACHARA KIRK. She's on the social media. Thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully I didn't sound like a big curmudgeon. And if you like the movie a lot, I apologize. I still love y'all. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.